Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome on back to the AnKorage. And I've worked a little bit on the lighting. It's a little bit better. It's not perfect. You can still see the shadows behind me, but it's better. So we've got that going on. So I'm just checking to see how the lighting is going to be. Plus, we have the next video that's coming up, and I received in the mail a happy little box with some stuff in there. So why don't we check it out on this edition of Buster Quest. Hey everybody, welcome back. So like I was saying, received a box in the mail. This happens to be, well, there was a note inside of it. It's handwritten using a marker, and this was from Chris from Dragon Workshop out on Etsy, and he says, Ivan, thank you for your patience, support, and understanding, Chris, Dragon Workshop. That is cool. I like the fact that it's handwritten. And, yeah, it's a marker, but, the thing is that it's handwritten above and beyond. And it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that's been torn in half. It's really cool. So, I bought something for this guy. This is the Cyclotron cover from the Proton pack. And, this is part 2 of me working on the coils and the CRT emitters on it and stuff like that. And I purchased this, I don't know if you could call it a kit, but I'm approaching it as a kit. But, it's these little things. We'll take a closer look in a moment. But, there are these. And also got 8 of these. So these are the emitters, and these are the coils. And these will be replacing these pieces. One, and that one. This will be replacing those. So why don't we switch angle a little bit, and I'll show you the stuff a little close up. Okay, so excuse the lighting. I'm going to turn the light on here. Okay, you can see it a little better. And so here's the inside of the cyclotron. I'm behind my phone. I've got it up on the tripod. And so what we've got is I've got my handy dandy Linus Tech Tips ratcheting screwdriver. Ooh. So very nice. So anyhow, here are the CRT coils and the emitters. And looking at these, I'm looking at them, and they're black, as you can see. These are all black, no detail. There's no character, nothing really outstanding about them, and such. And these are the CRT emitters. You just turn to the left a little bit, and they slide right on out. And it's basically injection molded, and you got a little piece of plastic in there. To the inside of the coil. You can get the top, nice little bit of a detail there. That's kind of nice. And the coils themselves are actually kind of nice too, by design. However, these screws, they're flathead screws. So I've got my flathead tip on my screwdriver. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking these out, and I'll show you those, and we will compare them to the ones that I bought in the kit from Christopher. One thing that I didn't notice is that when this was assembled, this one here, this plate, it rocks back and forth. So it's loose. And when I looked at the screws, they were not in all the way. So that tells me that they might be cross-threaded. So that's a shoddy assembly on the folks over at the factory in China. So that's their fault. Not Hasbro's necessarily, but there we go. So why don't I take these out, and then we will look at these in comparison to the ones that I bought from Dragon Workshop. Okay, and here they are. So these are the emitters. These are the emitters are these little guys. There we go. Okay, try to keep that in a good spot so they can be seen all right. And it's got some half decent detail. It's not too bad. Kind of like it. And then the coils. So the coils are two parts. So basically you have the coil itself, which is this portion. And then you have the cap. We'll just call it the cap. Now this piece is a single injection molded piece, as you can see. The spacers here do not come off / legs. And you can see when you got two little pins here that go inside of the coil. And this is the coil piece right here. And, it looks nice. Everything. It's got a little bit of detail on it. One of the nicer things that Hasbro did with this pack as a whole was they included a metallic flake inside of the plastic. So that looks really good. And, you can kind of see that characteristic on all the parts. So, by looking at this, I mean, it's nice and everything, but it's very flat, it's very sterile, very clean. There's no character to it in comparison. So, I've got all those parts right there. And what I'm going to be doing with these is I will actually be bagging these up and putting them back into the box that the Proton pack came in because, collectability value. So now let's look at CRT emitter from Dragon Workshop. Here it is here. There's the top. It's got the same, added top detail. It's very nice. There's the bottom. And, we'll look at the differences in a minute. And then, of course, you can see the inside of it where it looks like it's actually a piece of metal. So that's kind of nice. CRT cathode ray tube. Now, let's compare the two next to each other. Here they are. And they are roughly the same dimensions. Length, width, everything like that. On Dragon Workshops, the bases are a separate piece all in and of themselves, whereas on Hasbro's, there is no base piece. It's actually an injection mold of the entire portion, and that's fine. I like this, and these ends and the interior. Those are painted separately. This is actually what appears to be three parts. You got your top, you got your base, and then you've got the interior. So, and they're all spray painted like a silverish metallic, and the detail is really nice. And this clear tubing, this is I believe it's an acrylic. So correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. But it's an acrylic, whereas this one is just plastic. So there's those. And now, if we look at one of the coils in comparison. All right, so we've got a coil here. And like I was mentioning before, it's very clean, very sterile, not much character. It's not much to it. Now let's look at Dragon Workshops. Here it is. Now this is fully assembled, so I'm assuming this top portion is actually glued on, because it appears to be. And we can see that it's been painted a copper. So that is that's a good coloring. And I ordered the set that's weathered. So there is a weathering wash that's been applied to this after the paint. So it provides it with a little bit of worn out character. And at the top of it here, we can see that it's got, spray paint splatter, as it were. How I take that is basically I get the notion that from this pattern that it was basically some compressed air on, let's say, like a brush. You have a brush and then you blow compressed air on it against this. And then after this is all dried and everything, it got shot with a clear acrylic, or excuse me, a clear matte, top spray, and to seal that in and protect it. And then it was attached to the coil and glued on. And that looks really, really good. What I like about this is that this square portion is translucent. Yeah, it's not perfectly clear, but I don't believe it's supposed to be. And when we compare, Hasbro's is completely black. You can't see through it or anything. On Dragon Workshop's, it looks a little more authentic, let's say. Okay, so there's that. What we also notice here is that the screws that came with the Hasbro pack, they are silver in color, and they are flathead screws. And it's a smooth shaft with just a little bit of threading down at the bottom. So there's that. Let's look at one of Dragon Workshop's screws. If I can dig one out here. Excuse me a moment. There we go. Okay. All right, so here's one of Dragon Workshop screws. It's brass. And I can tell that. And it is also a flathead. And if you look at the top, it's been filed down so that it's flat. And now that's because the screws in the pack in Afterlife, those were filed down. Those screws were filed down. They didn't necessarily have to be, but and just to try to stay somewhat authentic to the prop, Dragon Workshop filed it down as well. Cool. Okay. Now these screws from Hasbro, like I said, they're flatheads, and Dragon Workshops are also flatheads. Taking off these screws, it was fine and everything, but being flathead, I kept sliding out. It would just slide right on out. If I can demonstrate slightly, I'd have it in, and it would go boop. It would just slide out as I was unscrewing it. I would have really appreciated Phillips and without the filing. That's just me. And it only applies to my application of what's going on here. So that's that. It's perfectly fine. Let's see. On these portions, you've got these spacers here. And the ones from Dragon Workshop, these are the spacers. They're little pieces of brass. And, what you do is just slide them on like so. And then you can screw it on down. And the effect of it, when you look at it, it looks great. One thing that I did notice about these is they're not uniform across all of them. And that's meaning the length of the spacers are not the same across all of them. If I can put a couple here. There's 1, 2, 3. Can't really tell all that much by looking at this. However, if I can get this to scroll in a little bit. There we go. Can you see that they are not the same length? So let me get those two out of the way. And I'll put these two up against each other. Let's see. Can I do it? Should be able to. Of course, it wants to roll away. Okay, so here I have two spacers up against the flat surface of the Hasbro coil cap, and you can clearly see that those spacers from Dragon Workshop are not the same length. You've got one longer than the other, and I'm just eyeballing it, but it's about a millimeter shorter on the upper one versus the lower one. So these spacers, they are not of uniform length across all of those spacers. Does that necessarily mean they screwed up? No, I just think it's probably just a little bit of negligence and not paying attention to detail permanently and making sure that all of the spacers were of the exact length. I'm not going to, shoot down Dragon Workshop for not paying attention because I'm not picky like that. However, I know that there are folks out there that would be like, I can't have this at all just because of that one little mistake. So, well, I'm flexible, so I'm fine with that. So let me zoom this back out if I can. There we go. So those, excuse me, sorry. I've got my phone on the tripod. So I've got those, everything like that. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to put the coils into the spots here. These are the different CRT spots, and you can see the wires and the gels and stuff like that. These plugs, these are interesting, for these cables. These are the Hasbro. Hasbro created these. I haven't been able to find anybody that's made these cables because this front portion of it, which goes from here to here, this is supposed to be a silver connector, and it's not on the factory ones. And I know there's folks that have painted those and stuff like that. I could certainly go ahead and paint it. However, that's damaging the product. And in preserving the collector value, you don't go painting things because painting is damaging. So why don't I go back in and let's get these new coils and emitters installed, and I'll show you what that looks like. And there you are. All of the new CRT emitters and their coils are installed, and that's how they look. And the detail is amazing, absolutely amazing. It looks a lot more authentic, a lot more believable. And Chris, just to give you a heads up, I ended up with 2 extra CRT emitters, just so you know. So, yeah, double check your counts when you're putting this together. And on one of these, which one is it? This emitter here, I was missing one screw. I don't know if I actually have it. I might. The box did fall a couple of times, and I did take them out of the bag thing that you had going on. So I just went and I just took one of the factory ones, put it in there. I'll just take one out, run to the hardware store, and go to the screw boxes and just grab one for myself. I'll sand down the top and get it in there. And yeah, there we go. Nothing major, less than $1, and just the investment of the time to do it. Whatever. So there it is. So why don't we close this up? Okay, so there we go. I have improved the appearance of the inside of the cyclotron lid. So there we go. And one of the caps, the glue did did snap off a little bit. I can just go back in, just rub some Elmer's in there and just put that back in. So no big deal. And also that was included was this little guy. It's a little No Ghost logo on a little piece of plastic. It's kind of, it's got a little bit of the weathering on it. It's kind of cute. Very nice. Nice little extra tidbit. So that's nice to have. So there we go. Very, very good product. And, on to the review. So we've gone through everything. I've installed everything. And it looks really, really good. A couple of points that to kind of help out a little bit, those spacers, making sure that all of them are of the same length, because we do have a few in here that are actually shorter. Looking at it from this angle, looks like one. Actually, they looks like all but one. Or no, there's another one. There's at least two out of the bunch that are shorter. Actually, I'm looking at the rest of them, and some of them are actually shorter. So, making sure that the length of the spacers is uniform. For myself, it's of no never mind for me. I'm fine with that. It's the nature of the beast, or this is what happens. It's like these spacers. You're probably buying them in bulk, and it's like, who has the time to go over every single individual piece to make sure they are of a specific length? But at the same time, there are folks out there that will do that. But I leave that decision up to you. You do your thing. You do you, me do me, and they do they, and who's do what's it's, or whatever's. Yeah, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I did end up with 2 extra CRT emitters, so to be aware of that. These are cool. I'm thankful that I actually have a couple extra, because I could use these as examples when I'm whenever I happen to have the Proton pack out on display, and someone wants to see a CRT emitter, then I can go, well, here, take a look at this one. There you go, and it's really cool. The construction quality is fantastic. What I noticed on those coils is they don't appear to be 3D prints, because they don't have the telltale filament lines on them. They do look like they are injection molded, so those are cool. Whether you made them yourself, no big deal. It's possible you may have sourced these from some other outfit, and that's fine too. Whatever. You just put your extra touches on it, your extra paint, your extra weathering, things of that sort. That's the part that matters, and that's the part that's really good on this. The weathering is fantastic on it. For the caps, the round portions on the top, that square piece and the circular cap portion of it. This is just something that I heard of from Adam Savage. Whether or not you want to do something like this, play with it, try it out, see how you like it. Yeah, because I'm seeing on this, you get the black paint. It looks like it was spattered on there, which is fine. Looks great. But if you want to try this little extra thing, maybe take some temporary hair color spray, like Streaks and Tips. I know there's a couple other brands out there. Just kind of like, spray that on there. Spray it on, and then take a rag and just kind of, pat at it. Pat at it. Maybe do a quick little scrub. Really, really light, really, really quick. Just something really quick. Boom, 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 and then spray some clear matte lacquer over it to seal it in, and see what kind of weathering effect that gives. To see if it's something that you might like. I'm imagining, the hair coloring around the outer edges with a bare center that's got a gradient going from the outside inwards. If you can follow that description, if you can understand what I'm saying, I'm seeing that kind of thing, and I would do the splatter like normal first, and then I'd go do the Streaks and Tips. And the patting with the cloth, and then spraying it with the lacquer. Give that a try. See how it works. If it comes out with a pretty good effect, then fly with it. Do your thing, and there we go. I've got these factory parts that are single injection molds and stuff like that, and I've got the CRT emitters here. I'm going to bag these up, and I'm going to put them into the Proton Pack box from Hasbro. And I'll put the rest of the screws in there too. And when I switch out that one screw, I'll make sure to put that original screw into the box as well. So there we go. And that's this video. I have replaced the CRT emitters and the coils in my, if I can get this thing right, it's the Ghostbusters Hasbro, or the Hasbro Ghostbusters HasLab the series, Plasma Series, Spenglers, Proton Pack. It is such a long name. Hasbro, you guys have got to do something about that. Granted, it's already out and everything, so it's too late, but at the same point, change it. You know, Ghostbusters, Spenglers, Proton Pack. That would be close enough. You don't need all the other names, except on the pages that they show up at. Or maybe on the box, the printing on the box or whatever. So anyways, moving on. That is this video, and that was this project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Chris, fantastic job. You did great. That is fabulous, and I had a lot of fun putting it together, switching them out and stuff like that. And yeah, you can get little edits or whatever, you know, get the spacer, get the screw, whatever. I can do that on my own. That's no big deal. You don't need to reach out and say, hey, I can send you a couple of pieces. No, don't spend the money on the shipping of that stuff. That's fine. I'm good. You know, and besides, I don't know when I'm going to get around to doing it. So my hat's off to you. You did a great job. This kit looks amazing. So keep going with it. Do look into the screw, you know, for the sake of a Phillips head versus a slotted, because I think in the end it doesn't really matter. I think the Phillips is a better choice, and it's certainly make using the screwdriver a lot more stable. And because on slotted, you know, it just flies out. It just slides on out, and there's a lot of unnecessary scratching going on. If you go that route with the Phillips and doing away with the slotteds, as far as the filing down of the screw head goes, that might be fine as well. You'd want to test it first. You know, grab a Phillips, file it down, and see how it reacts with, you know, with a screwdriver, to see how the screwdriver acts with that material missing. I think it would be just fine, but I know that there would be instances with some folks where they're like, no, it just keeps popping out. You know, everybody's different. So there we go. Me, I'd be fine with just a regular, ordinary Phillips head without the filing. Myself, I'd be fine like that. So there you go. So the stars, the overall stars for the review. Out on Etsy, I put a 4-star review, and you know, I wish I could have done a half, but the Etsy shop, or most sites, they don't have halves. They just let what's being displayed be an average of all the reviews that they've got. I would pick 4.5 stars. With the, you know, but I can't, so I have to go with the 4. I would go with the 5, but that would be if I could, you know, if the screws were Phillips, at least, and that the CRT emitter counts was exact. You know, I would need 8. I ended up with 10. You know, there was that one screw missing, but that might be my fault. I tried looking around a little bit. I didn't find it, but it is possible that I only got 11, and I needed, was it 1, 2, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 screws per coil, and there's 4 coils. That would be 16. It's possible I only received 15 screws, but you know, because I didn't count them beforehand, I can't say this is your fault, Chris. But in the end, you know, it might be my fault, and if it is, then hey, I accept that, whatever. And it wouldn't cost me all that much to go get one. I've got a hardware store right down the road here, about half a mile, and they're good people. So there we go. So yeah, I'm going to bag up that stuff. I'm going to put the cover back onto the Proton pack. And yeah, I'll be moving on with the next project. Which I've got a number of them as far as videos go. I've got like a half dozen videos. And I've got one that just, an idea for one just came up today because the computer that these videos get edited on, the power supply is dead. So I have a replacement coming. So that'll be a video in and of itself. So there we go. So thank you very much for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. Chris, great job. And we'll talk to you in the next video. So thank you very much. Skál. Time for a drink of water.